All right, here we are. Welcome everyone to our 2022 Tinkle Sports and Entertainment NFL Season Preview Special. If you don't watch Sunday Morning Tinkle, I'm Brian. That's Jason. Here we are. We're ready to discuss the NFL season. Coming up, we are going to be talking the top three NFL offseason acquisitions. We're also going to
Mm-hmm.
be making our NFL divisional picks, our bold picks for the playoffs, as well as our sleepers. We're also going to be discussing the NFL award predictions, as well as our breakout stars to watch, leading up to our Super Bowl 57 picks and our NFL kickoff picks for tomorrow night's game between the Buffalo Bills and the LA Rams. But of course, we kick things off, and I think it's important to discuss the new rule changes that we will be
Oh
seeing
yeah.
in the 2022 NFL season. Of course, the biggest one we're going to save for last, but one of the big changes, the NFL practice squad has expanded from 12 players to 16 for this season. That is one big change. On the IR side, the injured reserve side of things, a player must now spend 4 weeks minimum on the IR before returning. Only 8 can receive the designated to return status, and they can return twice in a season. So if they come back, I believe, get put on the IR, they can come back once again. It's starting to turn into
That's
the
insane.
disabled list in baseball. Or I'm sorry, the injured list in baseball. And then, of course,
Right.
the biggest one, and this is the Chiefs Bills rule. Um,
Mm-hmm.
so both teams, so the NFL postseason overtime rules, now both teams possess the ball in overtime. And if both score, say it's a touchdown, maybe both get a field goal, and it's tied again, the next score wins the game. So I guess we start out by saying, Jason, what are your thoughts here on the new rules for the season?
I guess the 16-player practice squad, it makes sense because you never know what could happen throughout the season. There could be injuries, and with more players on the practice squad means that there's more opportunities to plug and play players coming off the practice squad and plug them into, you know, on the 53-man roster if there's somebody on IR or somebody that's hurt for the rest of the year. So I like that better than 12 because then you can end up keeping a lot of the players that you feel good about heading into the future with having them on the practice squad and not have to release them out into free agency. So I kind of like that itself.
It's
As far as the IR, feels a little weird that they can return twice, but hey, you never know. Injuries do happen. Like they can play, get hurt again, be on for like a couple weeks, and then come back. But the big one I'm going to talk about this one, the overtime rules. It's only for overtime. It doesn't include regular season at all. It's only the postseason. Um, but I like this that both teams can get an opportunity to touch the ball no matter what happens. If it's a touchdown and then another team goes in and scores a touchdown, then the score afterwards is sudden death. I like that. That should have been the rule, kind of like the begin with for the postseason. It wouldn't shock me if that eventually heads into the regular season too, but at least for the postseason, I think that's a great rule change because I'm sorry for this past postseason, we got totally robbed of the Bills and seeing if they could have matched, the score afterwards, and then the next score would have ultimately determined if, who could have went to the Super Bowl that year. Of course, it was not neither of those teams. It was the Cincinnati Bengals, but who would have known it could have been the Bills and Rams that year if, because if Buffalo won that game in Kansas City, they would have gone into Buffalo to play the Bengals. So who really knows what could have happened with that? But honestly, Brian, do you like that postseason overtime rule change too?
Yes and no. I don't like that after both teams score that you get a second chance, or that's it. Next scorer wins it. I don't necessarily enjoy that. One thing I think we could see come out of this, and I think it would be, gutsy by all means, but we know there are coaches like Mike Vrabel out there who are very aggressive in play calling. Could we see some 2-point conversions? Say if Tennessee loses the coin toss in overtime, they go, or say, a team loses the coin toss in overtime, the other team scores a touchdown. Now the team that lost the coin toss gets the ball. They go down, score a touchdown. Maybe there's a chance we see a 2-point conversion to end the game.
I think yes and no. It depends on how ballsy of a team happens to be if they're desperate to get the points right then and there. But I think you're going to see a lot of teams.
I think you'll see it against the
have
Chiefs
a tie
and
game, and then kind of like end up like determining what can happen after that. I think this is going to make a lot of coaches like come up with interesting strategies with their defense. Like say like if it is tied after both teams score, and then like the third try can be like between both teams. I feel like that's going to be really where the teams are going to have to come up with some strategy. Yes, I get it. It makes overtime longer. See, what I would like for overtime to be is no time limit. Get rid of the 15 minutes.
I say give them 4th and 10.
Especially in the postseason. I say in the postseason, take off the time limit.
Yep.
Get into almost kind of a limited time, I feel like.
Here's my thought. You have one, on one side of the field you have, I say you do the coin toss still. But my opinion would have been the coin toss, and then you determine which side of the field you want to be on. Okay?
You know what I like about... You know what they really should do? I think they should add a little bit more. I think if both teams do score and tie it, I think there should be a second coin toss to determine who gets the ball after the fact. I would like that too.
Yeah.
Like say
I feel
both
like
teams
this
score
a compromise.
You should kind of start it all over again with another coin toss.
Yeah.
And then that could be the determining factor of who can go on and win the game itself.
See, where I feel like this would cut on injuries is if we just skip that. And again, the coin toss to determine what side of the field you want to be on. It's 4th and 10 at the 10-yard line. You have to score a touchdown. And then, of course, if you score, kind of like a hockey shootout style sort of thing. And then on the other end of the field, you got 4th and 10. And, best 2 out of 3 advances. That's what I think would be a great overtime. It'll be quick, it'll limit the injuries. And again, I feel like, though, when I said about the 2-point conversion, going back to that, what I think will be interesting is I think it'll happen a lot against teams like the Bills and the Chiefs because of how strong they were the last couple of years. Maybe even the Bengals, because you want to keep Patrick Mahomes, you want to keep Josh Allen off the field. And if you give him we saw the game last year. It was automatic. Whoever got the ball was going down and scoring. Okay. So that's where I feel like we'll see the 2-point conversions on, if the team that loses the coin toss gets the touchdown against someone like the Bills or the Chiefs. Because, again, you want to keep them off the field, but at the same time, that if you miss it, you're going home.
Right.
So, but as far as the IR goes, interesting. I like it. I think like I said, I think it's close to baseball's rules with the IL. So I like it. And then the 16-player practice squad, I think it gives more opportunities, and I feel like if you're not going to expand the roster, at least expand that.
Yeah,
Because,
exactly.
there should be more roster spaces available. I'd love to see 60 and then 53 are active for the game.
Yeah, I
I
kind of
think
like that
that'd be a
too.
better option, but practice squad's a good way to go as well with
Yeah,
that.
'cause you're still on a team, you're still getting paid, but you're just not with like the main starters.
But,
You're still
you know,
practicing with a team, but you're just not there with the ones, the twos, and whatnot.
mhm,
So,
yeah. So, anyway, I think it's a good time to move forward now. So, of course, the biggest off-season moves this year. For those who didn't follow, Devontae Adams, he was dealt to the Las Vegas Raiders in a trade
hmm
for the Green Bay Packers. Russell Wilson, this one was a big one. He got dealt from the Seahawks to the Broncos in a trade. And then one we didn't expect, Matt Ryan got dealt as well to the Colts in
yeah.
this offseason. So that leads me to question, of course, all three big names, who will be the most successful this season after those deals?
I'm thinking like the signs are pointing towards like Matt Ryan having being the most successful out of the three. But don't count on Devontae Adams either because he's one of the top receivers in the NFL for a reason.
And keep in mind, him and Derek Carr played in college, so I feel like
Mm-hmm.
they've already got the chemistry there. So I feel like that's going to benefit them greatly. Do I think they will be the most successful? Not by any means, okay? I feel like Josh McDaniels, of course, we know why he's not a head coach in the league. And I'll elaborate more when we do make our divisional picks. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but, Russell Wilson, I think it's interesting because since Peyton Manning, they have not had the leadership on offense. And I feel like this is a big gain because I feel like Russell Wilson is one of the greater leaders in the game. So, this move I like a lot. I feel like this is a move that can help them maybe, just maybe, get to the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe in the future it'll help them, get to that next step. I don't want to say Super Bowl, but I feel like it'll get the Broncos over that hump over that get the monkey off their back essentially from
Right.
losing Peyton Manning after Super Bowl 50. So, but Matt Ryan to the Colts, I think's, you know, I don't want to say it's a big win because they got Phillip Rivers for a year. They lost in the playoffs. They had Jacoby Brissett before. He did okay, in a role where he was kind of the de facto starter due to Andrew Luck retiring. Last year they had Carson Wentz. It didn't work out in any way, shape, or form. So, I mean, I feel like ultimately Russell Wilson of the Broncos will be the most successful one out of the three. But I feel like Matt Ryan to the Colts will be kind of a close second because you look at
Yeah.
that division, it's going to be a little bit more open this year after the deals that Tennessee has worked out.
Right.
So, it'll be one to watch, I think. But I do like Matt Ryan to the Colts. I don't want you to mistake that. I've
Right.
seen the last few years they've been like the Cleveland Browns throughout the early 2000s, or the 2000s, early 2010s. So I feel like they're following that path basically.
I mean, the thing is I don't know if it's like more so that or they're just like not willing to like stick around with a quarterback that they have because Carson Wentz didn't do half bad for them last year.
But he's not what they expected him to be, is the big issue.
Philip Rivers would probably still be with the team if he didn't retire. Um, Jacoby Brissett wasn't terrible for them, but he wasn't going to be their like long-standing option. So I think Matt
But
Ryan might be their best option at quarterback because he's somebody that can still go out there and put up yards and do throw a ball.
To be fair, though, Matt Ryan has had chances. He had a decent offense in Atlanta. He still had Calvin Ridley. Last year he had Kyle Pitts as well. So it's a situation where I just say, he's had the chance to succeed and didn't capitalize on it. Now, granted, the coaching has been iffy there since their Super Bowl run. But he needs to put that in the past now, okay? And again, he's another one, a great leader, but, maybe...
Frank Wright should be the guy that can help Matt Ryan
maybe
go over the hurdle.
Yeah, maybe the change of scenery, and I guess that leads to the question, and we'll discuss it in the next part of the show probably, but, does this put Frank Reich in the hot seat now that he has someone like Matt Ryan, I believe an MVP in the league?
It's tough to tell because, you know what, that can be something we can talk about too. Who could we see, like, coaches that could be possibly in the hot seat too?
Yeah, I feel like we'll discuss that when we get to our division picks. But, Matt Ryan's 37. He's not going to be around for much longer. He was the 2016 NFL MVP, the year that they blew the 28-3 lead. But, we'll see ultimately. I just don't know if I feel confident saying that he was the best acquisition, being that he's 37 and being that he hasn't played up to expectations the last few years.
We'll see.
Yeah, but with that, I think it's a good time to take a break here. For our audio listeners, we're going to go to our anchor break, and when we come back, we will have our divisional picks, and then, of course, our award predictions, Super Bowl 57, and then we will end it with the Bills and the Rams pick for Thursday night. So stay tuned. We'll be back here with our Tinkle Sports and Entertainment NFL season preview in just a moment. All right, welcome back to our season preview. Let's start out by predicting the divisions, and let's start on the NFC side with the NFC East, or as we like to call it, the NFC least division. You don't have to predict the records, just predict the finishing order of that division.
I'm thinking Cowboys, Eagles, Giants, and
Commanders, right?
And Commanders. I think Commanders are going to be dead last. I hate to say it. Nothing against Carson Wentz, but I just... Actually, you know what? No, let me change this. I think it's going to be this. Only because I just don't know what kind of team that the Giants are going to have heading into the season. I'm going to say Cowboys, Eagles, Commanders, and Giants.
See, I think it's going to be the reverse. To be honest, like I said, I think it's going to be the reverse of that. I think the Cowboys will finish second. I think it's going to be the Eagles, then the Cowboys, then the Commanders, and then the Giants. Now, the Giants, again, they're still in a situation where they're not sure if they're going to move on from Daniel Jones just yet.
Right.
They're not sure if, I believe their backup is Tyrod Taylor right now.
Yeah.
Well. So that's another question right there. Whereas I think the Cowboys, I don't care what anyone says. They benefited from the world's easiest schedule last year. They didn't beat a 10-win team all year last year. And the Eagles were kind of not far behind on that. But I feel like the Eagles made some more impressive offseason moves than the
I think so too.
Cowboys. So that's why I'm going to go that way. I feel like Zeke has passed his prime a long time ago. So he's not quite there. They're going to miss Amari Cooper. I think CeeDee Lamb will have a great year. I think he'll have a 1,000-yard year receiving.
Yeah, CeeDee Lamb and Michael Gallup might be the two inspiring receivers this year for them.
The other thing is the acquisition of I forget which Smith it was, that the Who did the
You know what?
Eagles
That's why
pick
I'm
up?
thinking I might have to agree with your order there because I think you're making a strong case of why the
Yeah,
Philadelphia
but
Eagles
but the
will
Eagles
actually win a
acquired
division
that.
more so
Which
than the
wide receiver
Cowboys.
did they acquire from the Titans? They acquired
Oh, it was AJ Brown.
what? AJ Brown.
AJ
Yeah,
Brown.
that's it. I was thinking Smith. It's AJ Brown.
No,
Um,
Devontae Smith they drafted.
they got rid of Jalen
Jalen
Rager
Rager.
now, which
Right.
big gain right there for the Eagles.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Oh yeah.
and then Devontae Smith. I think I can make a case that Devontae Smith is going to have a great year too. Okay,
Oh yeah. I
and
think
Dallas
so.
and Dallas Goedert, he's always an end zone threat. I feel like, and again, I don't want to leap ahead on the discussion in terms of MVP, but I think we're going to see Jalen Hurts have a really big year 3 coming up because I feel
He
like the
could.
Eagles
He
are
very
leaning
well
in
could.
that direction.
Who knows?
Yep.
As far as the West
Yeah,
is
let's go to the NFC
is
West here.
um. I hate to say it, it's gonna go in this order. I'm thinking Rams, Cardinals, 49ers, and God, why am I blanking on the last team there? Um,
Seahawks,
who,
right?
who? Yeah, oh yeah. Seahawks are gonna be dead last. I hate to say it, nothing against them, but they're gonna be dead last. So Rams, Cardinals, 49ers, and Seahawks is my order for the West.
Yeah. So, no denying, I agree with you on the Rams here. The Rams will win the division. Um, I think I also agree with you on the Seahawks being last. There's no question there. This division now, not quite the division that 4 teams can go to the playoffs. But where I think second and third will get interesting is Trey Lance, I think, is going to be a big question entering this year. There's a lot of pressure on him. There are people that think he's a second-year quarterback who could be an MVP this year. I don't quite see it yet. I
I
actually
don't
said
really.
pump the brakes on it because I just don't. I don't want to say anything until we see it. The 49ers are a loaded offense, we know. They got Ayuk, they've got Trey,
Samuel.
they got Debo Samuel, they got George Kittle, they've got Elijah Mitchell as well at the
Mm-hmm.
running back position. What's going to be interesting though is what's going to happen with the Cardinals. This is where second and third is difficult to predict because DeAndre Hopkins, we know, is going to be suspended the first 6 games. What kind of
Right.
impact is that going to have on Arizona? That's where I think I'm going to put Arizona in third. I feel like they can win
Yeah.
without him, but it's going to be something that's going to be a hurdle for them in the early part of the year before they have their ultimate downfall in the
I
second half
mean,
of the season.
I'm just gonna add this on it now. Weren't they able to win without him when he was hurt last year?
And without Kyler Murray. Add in that
Yeah.
too.
So I
But
think that they're more than capable of doing it without him to start the season.
and again, this is why I think I'm going to go with the 49ers in second, but I feel like it's going to be a up to week 18 battle for that
Oh
second
yeah.
spot. I, I see one of them getting in the playoffs, the other one's going home. But again, we'll discuss that in a moment. Um, but like I said, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with DeAndre Hopkins out for that first part of the season. But the NFC North, and I believe that is the Packers division.
Yes, it is. It's that's the division with the Packers, Lions, Bears, and Vikings.
Mhm.
So with that division, I'm gonna actually throw a little bit of a curveball here. I'm gonna actually go with the Vikings,
Mhm.
Packers, Bears, and Lions. Nothing against the Lions, but I think the Bears look like. Yeah, I understand it was just preseason, but Justin Fields looks primed to have a great year 2.
See, I feel like the Packers are going to rely a lot on their defense to do much because we know what Aaron Rodgers is capable of. But
Oh yeah.
what weapons does he have now is the bigger question because he doesn't have Devontae
He has
Adams anymore.
Sammy Watkins. He has Alan Lazard. He has a bunch of rookies.
Yeah, but Sammy Watkins
um,
isn't the receiver that anyone made him out to be.
don't they still have Randall Cobb too?
Yeah, I believe so. So
Yeah, so they have Sammy Watkins, Randall Cobb, Alan Lazard, and like three other rookies on that team,
I don't feel
receiver
like this
wise.
is a year that I don't feel like that this is a year where the NFC Championship could be played in Green Bay. I
No,
but I do
no.
think they'll win the division. Um, but it's gonna be it won't be a 14-3 year. It'll be like a 10-7 year. And I feel like
Probably.
it'll be a tie with the Vikings up top the division, but I feel like the Packers will win on the tiebreaker. Um, then you look at third and fourth, and I'm sorry, this is where I disagree with you. I think it's going to be the Detroit Lions in third, and then the Bears in fourth. I just don't buy Justin Fields yet until I see it in the regular season. He lost Allen Robinson this offseason. And, let's face it, the Lions were better than the Lions record last year really didn't show what they were. They were still a losing team regardless of what the
Right.
record, the record shows that, but even off the field it showed. But they should have gotten at least a couple more wins out of the season than, and those losses, like two or three of them, if I recall, were on luck and not on the fact that they played horrendously. So that's where I feel it gives them the edge over the Bears. I just don't, I mean, other than the Bears defense, which now lost Mac, I just don't buy it, to be honest. I'm not buying in on the Bears until I see something.
Right.
But I feel like the leadership at the Lions has gotten a lot better. I feel like they will make some strides. I'm interested to see what Amon-Ra St. Brown does this year with Jared Goff, because I feel like this is going to be a year where it's going to be very intriguing.
Oh yeah, that's true too.
So
Actually, I almost forgot that St. Brown, like
yeah,
the older brother, is actually with the Bears now. It's funny because he goes,
yeah,
um, he was with the Packers,
yeah,
draw-off wise. Now he's with the Bears, so he's still within that division, but
yeah.
he's still going to be playing his brother
Let's
twice a year. Just except that it's
the
going to be the Bears and Lions, not the Lions and Packers.
the other thing that'll be interesting. The Lions defense is going to have Hutchinson, which again
Mm-hmm.
shouldn't have been on the Lions to begin with because let's face it, the Jags fucked up that first pick. Okay,
Yeah, I agree.
the Jags fucked up that first pick, and I think Hutchinson's
Well,
going to make
honestly,
everybody pay.
Walker doesn't look like a bad player for the Jags either.
Yeah, but again, we know what Hutchinson's going to do in the league. He's, long term, I feel like Hutchinson's the better option. The other thing that factors in, Jared Goff, TJ Hawkinson, I think is going to be another interesting matchup. Again, I just don't see anybody on that Bears offense that screams, that puts them in a position where it screams contender. So that's
Mm-hmm.
why I went Packers, Vikings, Lions, and Bears. So we move on, though, to the final NFC division, and that is the NFC South. That is the Saints and the Bucks division. Right there.
Saints, Bucks, Panthers, and
In
Falcons.
Falcons. That's the division. Is that the order?
No, I honestly, my order is going to be Bucks, Saints, I think Panthers and Falcons. I would have to go with.
Another intriguing thing I think is going to be Kyle Pitts and what can he do with that team. I feel like Marcus Mariota is going to show that he deserves a second shot in this league. Do I think he's going to
Mhm.
be a franchise quarterback? Absolutely not. He's missed
No,
that
that's why they got rid
opportunity.
of.
But I feel like he's going to have a decent bridge year. However, again, I agree with you on the top part of it, Bucks and Saints. I'd even agree that the Panthers will finish third, but I think fourth. I think third and fourth is going to be close. First and second is going to be. It'll be close as well. Um, but
Depends if
what
Jameis
I
Winston can stay with you too.
what yeah, the interesting things, of course, I mentioned Kyle Pitts year number 2. I feel like this is a year that he can break through. I think he can honestly, be one of the top one of the top tight ends in the league. I was gonna go receivers. I mean, he might be in that category too, but tight end for sure. He'll be one of the top ones. The presence of Calvin Ridley or the lack of presence by Calvin Ridley is why I put that team in fourth,
Oh,
because
yeah,
I feel like
definitely.
if they had Ridley, now if they had Ridley, I would say they're one good quarterback away from being a stellar offense.
Oh yeah, if
Because
they had Ridley, I would say that I would have made the claim for them to be the
I'd even
third
make the
over.
claim for them, believe it or not, to be close to second. Because
Really,
I don't buy Dennis Allen as a head coach, plain and simple.
I don't either.
So,
Apparently, this is not his first go as being a head coach. If you remember, he was the Raiders head coach back in the day too.
and he didn't do well there. So,
Nope.
you know, I feel like the leadership of Sean Payton will be missed. But again, I don't feel like anyone below the Bucks and the Saints will be in contention. That's why I put them in second. Because I feel
Right.
like if the Falcons actually had a decent quarterback, or not even a decent quarterback, I feel like if they had Ridley, I would actually make the case for them to go up to second. Only because the big question is Drake London as well. I don't think the question revolves around Kyle Pitts or around Calvin Ridley. We know what they can do on the field. The question lies on Drake London, who is now the de facto wide receiver 1. Okay, that's where the question lies. And that's one where I just do this because I don't know. Okay.
We don't know
So,
until we see it. Who
um,
knows? He could be another Jamar Chase.
yeah. So, but again, we'll predict the playoffs after, but let's go to the AFC and we start out with your division, the AFC East.
Oh yeah. I'm gonna have to go with Bills, Dolphins, Patriots, and Jets.
Hmm. See, we know we're both on the same page at the top with the Bills. I'm going to say Patriots or actually, no, that one's a tough one. Second and third will be close. Um,
I don't think so. I think Tua definitely makes that offense, or
this is a
Tyreek
prove it
Hill
year, though,
definitely
for
makes the
him.
offense a lot more lethal.
See, but they got Teddy Bridgewater as the backup, which is good. Um,
Hmm.
I guess I'll make the case for the Dolphins being number 2, but it will be a tight battle. Maybe even a tie between the Patriots
I
and the
don't really
Dolphins.
buy the Patriots being as good as they were last year.
See,
Like there was a case to make them number two last year
yeah. But
because
Mac Jones,
Dolphins had Jalen Waddle. They didn't
yeah.
really have that great of an offense. They were losing quite a bit of games, and
And
then it
Mac
started getting
Jones,
going towards the end of the season.
yeah.
This year, you look at the team. They have Jalen Waddle. They have Tyreek Hill. Tua is able to throw
Hmm.
very far down the field to Tyreek Hill. There's a big case of making them second.
Yeah.
Patriots
The
didn't really do
concern
much
lies
in
on
the
Tua's arm.
offseason at all. So I think Mac Jones is going to struggle. I think that was just like a 1 year lucky rookie season for him. I think he's going to kind of struggle in year two. I still don't buy Zach Wilson and the Jets yet. I really
See,
don't.
I I was actually going to go there. You're saying I think the Jets will improve this year, but they won't be the top team. They won't move up the pecking order, but they will improve this year. I feel like their defense is improved this offseason.
Mm,
I feel like, Zach Wilson now has some weapons in his arsenal. And of course, a decent rookie running back, Brees Hall, will be interesting
right.
to watch. Again, I'm still riding the Saleh train because I think Robert Saleh was the right choice as the head coach. But again, it's just the wrong division for the Jets in terms of being able to compete for anything outside
No.
of, third place. Um, so, um, that I will say. But with that, let's move to the AFC West here.
Yeah, your division. This one's going to be an interesting one. I'm going to make a strong case here. I'm going to go with Chargers, Chiefs, Broncos, and Raiders.
Wow. All right. See, I would love to make that case. But here's the thing. Tom Telesco, he pulled a Las Vegas move. He went all in. This is going to be one that he's going to ride or die on. And I feel like he will make the playoffs, but it's going to be the Chiefs division still until somebody dethrones them. And, I like the combo of Bosa and Mack. Bosa, Khalil Mack. I think that's a great combination, but I feel like it'll put them within a game or two of Kansas City. It's not going to be a runaway like it's been the last 4 or 5 years with Kansas City. See, I'll buy into that. But, this is a season where they've got to make the playoffs. The Chargers do, because a lot's riding on it now. They spent all the cap space to go out there and make the playoffs. They spent it to go beat Patrick Mahomes, and this is, by God, that's something they've got to do this year if they want to make a strong case. Broncos, I feel like they've made a good case getting Russell Wilson. But again, the question is, now that Russell Wilson is no longer in Seattle with a bad O-line, can we blame the O-line or can we blame Russell Wilson for the poor performances the last few years?
Time will tell.
That's something that I think we're going to find out within the first 6-7 weeks of the season.
Right.
And then fourth place, sorry, I'm not buying Vegas. And, you can
I'm
call
not either because I think they're all in on their offense and not on their defense.
See, I'm so sick of the Derek Carr, Aaron Rodgers comparisons. They are not comparable by any stretch of the imagination. And again, Josh McDaniels sucked as a head coach. He didn't do well last year as an offensive coordinator. So why was this the pick? They dropped the wrong coach.
I just think that he got lucky in New England only because he was paired with Bill Belichick.
Okay, Rich Bisaccia should be the head coach right now of the Las Vegas Raiders. If they were,
I agree.
I would make the case for them being third, possibly second in the division.
Right.
But again, I'm sorry. The other thing, sorry Raiders fans, but tough love. Your playoff spot was a fluke to begin with, okay?
All right.
Your playoff spot was a fluke. If it wasn't for our coach being a moron, you guys wouldn't have been in, okay? Or you would have been in on a tie. Another fluke. Because, again, you guys shouldn't have even been in the battle, let alone in the playoffs. And, again, Derek Carr, he's the fifth best quarterback in the division. I'd take Chad Henne over Derek Carr. That's my bold take on that. Okay? I think Derek Carr's I don't think Derek Carr's half the quarterback people make him out to be. He's not a smart quarterback at all.
And I'm pretty sure if the Chargers did win that game over the Raiders, they were going to play the Bills in a wild card. I'm pretty sure that's what it was going to be.
But again, as far as the Chargers go, they've got to make the playoffs with this roster. That's a guarantee they've got to make it. And to me, they cannot be one and done. Because if they are one and done, this is going to just implode everything.
Right.
So, but with that, maybe it's time to move on to the AFC North, which could be a
Yeah,
very interesting division with Big Ben now out of the picture.
I agree. So this one is, of course, you got the rate. This one is, you know, teams of, Ravens, Steelers, Bengals, and
Ravens, Bengals,
Browns.
Steelers, and Browns here.
So my divisional picks for that one is going to be, I'm going to have to go Bengals, Ravens, Steelers, and Browns.
Yeah. I'm gonna say Bengals. They went to the Super Bowl for a reason. Okay.
Right.
Zach, their coach went their coach went from being on the hot seat to now being the guy that's just locked in.
Oh yeah.
And I think Joe Burrow, to me, and I might be jumping ahead, but I think he's going to be a candidate this year for one of the top awards in the game.
True.
I'm willing to make that bold prediction. He will be a top 3 finalist. Book it now.
Hmm.
Okay. So
I agree.
Zach Wilson and the Bengals win the division. Okay. I think for sure the Ravens second, because the Steelers will be third. And I'm going to make this bold prediction too. The Steelers will have their first losing season in a long time, since before Big Ben got drafted. It'll be Mike Tomlin's first,
No,
8-9.
because I think Trubisky could shock the hell out of us, especially the receivers too. I mean, Deontay Johnson, Chase Claypool, and George Pickens could very well be some of the most inspiring young wide receiver groups in all of the NFL right now. So we do not know exactly what we're going to get.
Yep. Doesn't change my thought on it. They will have their first losing season in 15 or 16 years. That's my pick right there.
Well, they haven't had a losing season since they drafted, since like 2004?
3. Yep. 2002
Yeah,
or 2003. And it'll be the first one under Mike Tomlin as the head coach.
Mm-hmm.
So, number 4, though, and this is the only reason I'm going to put the Cleveland Browns number 4. Deshaun Watson's out 11 games. Okay. He's out basically till the final 4 games of the regular season. I think Brissett will keep them close to the Steelers. I don't feel like he will put them above the Steelers. The other thing is they've got Amari Cooper. They've still got, to me, the best running back duo in the league in Chubb and Kareem Hunt. Now, I did not say that they are both the best. I did not say they're both 2 of the best running backs in the game. I'm saying that they're the best duo in the game as of right now. And again, Amari Cooper, an interesting situation. He's now the top receiver there. I think they still got Njoku as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, the Browns have highlights on that offense. To me, they still got a good defense. But, again, Deshaun Watson being out 11 games. And I'd even probably make this case if Deshaun Watson was playing, because Deshaun Watson hasn't played in a year. We don't know what he's going to do when he comes back. So, again, that's just the main reason for that one. But we are on to the final division, the AFC South, which of course features the Colts, the Titans, the Texans, and the Jags.
This one's going to be an interesting one. I'm going to have to say Colts, Titans, Jags, and Texans.
Yeah, I'm going to have to agree. Colts, Titans, Jags, but I wouldn't be shocked to see the Jags take second in the division, to be honest. I'm willing to make that bold take. I wouldn't be shocked to see them take second. And then, like I said, so Colts, Titans, Jags, then the Texans. I feel like Breece Hall, there's a reason he won the number 1 job. But but I'm still not too confident on Davis Mills being the quarterback for the Texans. I'm just not very confident on it. Trevor Lawrence, I think, will have himself a year. Keep in mind, there's comparisons to Peyton Manning right now in the fact that Peyton Manning led the league in interceptions. There's now the thought, could Trevor Lawrence turn the tide this year? I think he can. Okay, I think it's very easy to buy into Trevor Lawrence changing the tide. Where,
too.
I
just think that he had a very crappy situation with Urban Meyer.
Yeah.
Heading into his first year as a head coach in the NFL. But at least he gets somebody in Doug Peterson who is very much so like a quarterback guru. Look at what he did with Carson Wentz when they went on that Super Bowl run. Who knows? That could be the same thing that happens with Trevor Lawrence too. He could have that Carson Wentz-esque season heading into the season because they have some pretty good receivers. They went out and grabbed some guys that can build around Trevor Lawrence. You have Travis Etienne that's coming back from being out the whole
that was
season.
where I was about to go next. Travis Etienne is going to be an interesting factor. And keep in mind, him and Trevor Lawrence played together at Clemson. So the chemistry, there's no denying the chemistry between the two of them.
Kind of weird, too, because, yes, this is technically his second season, but this can be counted as his rookie season. So he could very well, I know we're getting onto the award predictions coming in soon, but who knows? He could be a candidate for Offensive Rookie of the Year. Because if you think about it, this is technically his rookie season.
I don't think they're going to count him in that, though. That's the whole thing.
I don't know.
I feel like Offensive Player of the Year, maybe they can count him in.
No, I think
that's going to be a really tough sell.
It could be technically the same case because there was like a time wasn't like Ben Simmons like injured like his very first
basketball.
Like, 2 years
that's basketball.
Though. Year.
You can't,
I know, but
I don't know, but
I think this should count as technically his rookie season.
Yeah. Now, I want to flip gears to the Titans. This is going to be a very delicate situation because the Titans, I don't feel, are going to be the team that we've seen the last few years. I don't feel like they're going to be, I feel like this is going to be a division that's fringe contention to begin with. But now they've lost A.J. Brown. They obviously lost Jonnu Smith entering last year. And I think they're still reeling from that. I believe they got Hooper now, if I'm not mistaken. They got Austin Hooper. But
they might.
This is a year for Ryan Tannehill where now you've got Malik Willis behind you. So now to me, I get it's a third-round pick, probably going to be a backup for a while. But is it possible that Ryan Tannehill is now on the hot seat in terms of his starting job? Because
I think so. Because Malik Willis actually made a strong case of like he can actually excel in the NFL level. I get it. Yeah. Yes, it's just preseason. He hasn't played in the actual official NFL game, but
see,
that don't mean anything. He looks like he's poised to actually excel. Somebody that can be like a Lamar Jackson type of player. And we've seen that actually excel and work in the NFL, so who knows?
The other thing that hurts the division, or at least hurts the Titans in terms of a playoff case and in terms of a division case, is Ryan Tannehill's attitude about this whole thing. Ryan Tannehill came out and said straight up, it is not my job to teach Malik Willis how to play the game. It is not my job to prepare him for that next step. Okay, and I'm sorry, but when you're the quarterback, whether you have the giant C on your name or whether you have the giant C right here on your jersey or not, you're the leader of the team. When you take that kind of attitude, it has a ripple effect, okay?
Right.
And I feel like it's going to have a massive ripple effect on the Titans. I don't feel it'll be enough to finish below second, but I feel like, or at least below third, but I feel like it's certainly going to have an effect. Now, of course, we've got bold picks for the playoffs, but you also question Mike Vrabel's leadership. I don't think there's a question about it, but I feel like the media will question it a lot entering this year. That's why I bring it up, because I feel like the media will question it more than we do.
Yeah, they might.
Um,
Bold picks for the playoffs
yeah,
itself.
let's do that. So, who do you think gets the wild cards after we just made our division picks?
Well, because we have like what 3 out of each conference, so
Yeah.
with the wild card picks for like AFC or like we want to go like NFC first or
Well, I mean, you
AFC.
don't necessarily have to pick wild cards, but I would say just pick out a team that you think could potentially be a sleeper in the playoffs, or, you know,
I think the Eagles can
you think
surprisingly be a
could be
sleeper
a
in the
sleeper.
playoffs.
So, I
Um,
see it.
and then potentially, if somehow the Jags get there, maybe they could be a
Hmm.
sleeper too.
Yeah. Here's what I think. I don't know, to be honest, I said last year that the NFC West was going to make it with all 4 teams. I was way off on that. Um, Out of the NFC side, I could see the Saints making an appearance again. I don't feel they'll
Yeah,
make. I feel like they'll be a one and done. Okay, the
I
Eagles and
think
the
Michael Thomas
Cowboys.
coming back will definitely help them lead into
I'm
like a playoff spot.
I'm willing to predict though that if the Cowboys make it as a wild card, they will get their first playoff win in the last few years and under the Mike McCarthy era.
That'd be something.
I'm willing to I'm willing to pick it. Now, it would have to be a very weak divisional winner, but I feel like they will get in as the number 7. Um, but I actually want to make a case for the Eagles too as a sleeper. Again, I feel like they're flying well under the radar right now. Um, of course,
Underdogs yet again, just
Nick
like they were.
Sirianni. We questioned Nick Sirianni and his leadership. When they hired him, we were like, who the hell is this guy? We were like, I think we sat here and we doubted it. But in a way,
Hmm.
of course, former offensive coordinator for the Colts, but he's had some strange methods to get to know his players. And, sometimes it's the strange methods that work out.
Right.
So I feel like, I feel like the Eagles fly under the radar. I feel like they make the playoffs. Maybe, just maybe, make it to the divisional round.
Good.
Okay. I feel like that's honestly the sleeper in the NFC side. But now we can focus here on the AFC side. Any teams that you think we need to watch that might not be on the radar right now?
I don't know the Broncos. I mean, I know we said it, but like Broncos could be a very interesting one that could be there.
Hmm.
Same thing with the Colts. I think I'm gonna say that I think that Colts actually make the playoffs, and it could be a bold prediction to make it. They could be under the radar too.
Hmm.
Broncos might be. I would say probably like the Jags could be like an under radar playoff team itself.
Hmm. I I think it'll be fun because you know what?
And who knows? I'm gonna put this out there. Who knows? Maybe the Steelers could be shocking us and somehow getting back into the playoffs too.
See, the top 3 teams right now, to me, the Bills, the Chiefs, and then the Cincinnati Bengals, in no order, are the teams that are going to be, the top ones. They're going to be the ones that in the media, they're the ones to watch. But you look back, I mean, I think I don't want to put Baltimore in a sleeper category, but they're obviously going to be talked about like that in the media because of
Right.
Lamar Jackson, the contract talks. And, Lamar Jackson can use that to either fuel him or he can use that to tear him down. That's going to be the big question because as of when we're recording this, there's been no contract extension. Lamar Jackson has said.
He even stated it himself.
Yeah.
None of the media has actually stated it. Lamar Jackson himself has stated that he didn't come out of that with like a $250 million contract extension.
And he also said that at the beginning of the regular season, he was ending talks regardless. More than likely to focus on the season. That's why I think it's not going to tear him down, but instead it's going to build him up.
I think he's going to go out there and prove that he deserves that contract.
And so that's why I think here it's going to be, and again, I'm going to go heavy with the media on the Ravens, but the other thing is the Colts. And I mentioned earlier in the show about leadership and how valuable it is. And Russell Wilson is one of the greatest leaders in the game right now. But, again, a first-year head coach, I don't know if I can go all in on Eberflus right now. But I highlight mainly the Indianapolis Colts and Frank Reich, where I feel like, Frank Reich, keep in mind, he led the Bills to a Super Bowl while Jim Kelly was injured. There's no denying that he has leadership qualities. And to me, I feel like he's a coach that ultimately flies under the radar because of it. He flew under the radar as a quarterback, and he's doing the same as a head coach. And what is Matt Ryan right now? Flying under the radar because of the last few years. I feel like both of them want something to prove. They have something to prove. I wouldn't be shocked if the Colts upset one of these top three teams right here.
It would be insane.
I'm not going to say which one because I don't want to necessarily open that to a debate. But and to be honest, I wouldn't even be able to tell you which one. But I feel like they're a team that could take down one of the big three.
It would shock me if they somehow upsetting like the Chiefs or something like that.
Yeah. I could see that, but I think, I wouldn't even be shocked if it's... I mean, the only issue is the receiver end of things, because Michael Pittman is their top guy right now. So, but I could see it just because the Chiefs' defense, that it could be them. But can they go toe-to-toe with Mahomes is another question. But anyway, let's move on to the hot seat. Now, which coaches do you think are going to be on the hot seat entering this year?
Pete Carroll.
Yeah.
For sure. I think Lovie Smith, I'm not sold on him. Heading into here, apparently he did very shitty as an Illinois head coach. He did really crappy as a defensive coordinator for the Texans. 2 years he was there. He had like 29th and 31st ranked defense in the NFL. I'm not sold on him. Texans have not been able to find that coach since Bill O'Brien left. So I'm not sold on the Texans and keeping on Lovie Smith after this year. Well, I wouldn't say Mike Tomlin yet, but
no, I don't see him anywhere on that.
I don't know. It's a tough one. I would definitely say Pete Carroll, Lovie Smith.
I'll at least tell you mine. I'll tell you mine at least real quick, and I know you'll probably agree with a few of them, but I think easily right off the bat you can fire off and say Cliff Kingsbury for sure is on the hot seat entering this year.
Oh yeah, I think so too.
Arthur Smith with the Atlanta Falcons, I feel like, again, it not because of I get Calvin Ridley's out for the year, but you got a young offense right now, so I feel like and you're going to be in play for a quarterback in the draft, but will you be around when they're in play for that? That's going to be the next question. Matt
Right.
Rule, another one I can rapid fire off and say
Oh
is
yeah,
going to
yeah.
be in that
I totally forgot about
situation.
him. Yeah, Matt Rule
Um,
I think is gonna definitely be out too.
See, now those three I think you could rapid fire. Actually, four I think you could rapid fire and say Mike McCarthy as well with the Dallas Cowboys is on the hot seat. So those four immediately I could rattle off and say those four immediately came to mind in that discussion. But I feel there are a few that are. I disagree with you on Lovie Smith just because it's year one, but I also want to see what happens with that. Now, the guys that I think that aren't necessarily that could be on the hot seat, I think Frank Reich right now. It's a prove it year for Frank Reich. You know, can he end this
Right.
quarterback carousel that's been there? Um, and I look on down the
Yeah,
list.
because if he can't, and I think that his time as a head coach is up.
I hope not because I think he'll get swooped up pretty quick. He'll get scooped up very quick.
I think he'll get scooped up as like an
Um,
offensive
you know,
coordinator than a head coach.
Pete Carroll, another one. I think Pete Carroll's going to be like Tom Coughlin. He's going to retire. That's what I see being the
Who could?
possibility. Um, you know, Mike Vrabel, I think, is another one that's going to be on the hot
Mm-hmm.
seat. I don't think he should be, but those two I don't think should be on the hot seat, but I see it being a possibility that they are.
Right.
And this one I feel like is deserving of being on the hot seat, but again, and this is why it's Kyle Shanahan. Again, he made the
Yeah.
NFC Championship, he choked it away, and then let me just make this clear. You made the NFC Championship, you lost it, and then on top of it, you got rid of the quarterback that got you to that point. So now you're going all in on a second year quarterback. And to me, I'm sorry, but if you're going to change things up after going to an NFC championship, you deserve to be on the hot seat because you know what? If it works, great. Then you just saved your career. If it doesn't work, then guess what? This was your call. You're gone.
Yeah. I think there might be like a
feel
coach carousel
yeah,
firing after this season, and
yeah,
maybe even during the season too.
yeah.
It's going to be kind of like what happened last year too. I think it's going to be like that for this
Yeah.
year as well.
But see, that's where I put that's where I put Kyle Shanahan in kind of a Rex Ryan situation where he wanted Trey Lance all along and he knew he had a quarterback that was too expensive to put on the bench. So now, now that the deal's been restructured and Jimmy G is getting paid backup money, again, you put all your marbles into this young guy who fits your system, you've got to go out and win. I don't think the expectation is NFC Championship, but I think you've at least got to make the playoffs to save your career.
Right.
So, but I don't want to put him in the hot seat, but this is kind of a fringe one. I think Ron Rivera could be on that list too. Um, but
Which
again,
is sad, but
I don't think he should
I
be
know that's what
because
I'm saying. Like, there's a lot of
look,
coaches that could very well be on that hot seat. Ron Rivera, it sucks because look what he did with Alex Smith when he was,
yeah,
coaching them
but
up with him. But you might be right. I
yeah,
think this is his third season as the
right,
head coach there, so
yeah. So
it's very promising for him, unfortunately.
we're cutting it close. So I wanted to predict rookies of the years and offensive and defensive, but I feel like the MVP is the one that's going to be discussed about the most. So let's make our MVP picks here instead and just focus on that.
Okay. And unless I make it super quick, I'm thinking MVP Josh Allen,
Yep.
rookie of the year, at least offensively wise. I'm thinking that Kenny Pickett is going to somehow surprise us and play most of the season, so I'm going to say him on offense. As far as defensive, I think an Aiden Hutchinson And then offensive and defensive player of the years. I'm thinking offensive player of the year. Oh my gosh. Could be like, I don't know, Trevor Lawrence, defensive player of the year. I'm thinking Aaron Donald because he always seems to be in that discussion for defensive player of the year. If not TJ Watt, but I know TJ Watt might be entering the season on injury. I have no idea how bad his injury is, so that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I'm gonna just say MVP Josh Allen, but again, I feel like Joe Burrow will be in that discussion. I feel like
Actually, you know what? That's what I was thinking. Offensive player of the year, Joe Burrow.
yeah, offensive player of the year. Oh man, see, I want to go Joe Burrow, but I don't think they'll double up on QBs. So I don't know. I'm willing to say Travis Kelce, offensive player of the year. Defensive player of the year, TJ Watt. Offensive rookie of the year, I'm going to say Drake London. I don't think Kenny Pickett's going to be that guy. Then defensive rookie of the year, I think that's been won by Aiden Hutchinson before the season even started. So those are my award picks. We kind of went over those breakout did we kind of? I mean, to be honest,
the breakout starters. I think so. I think we kind of.
I think we covered it by saying, I think it's going to be Trevor Lawrence that's going to be the one to watch.
Trevor Lawrence and I think Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, Jalen Hurts. I feel like those two will be the main ones to watch in terms of the breakout stars, But anyway, Super Bowl 57, who do you think will make it to that point?
I think it's going to be the very first game of the year. I think that's my pick for the Super Bowl 57.
I feel like the Swan Song season is going to end in the Super Bowl. And I think we're going to see a rematch between Tom Brady and the Bills. So I'm going to say Bucks and Bills for the Super Bowl.
That could be.
Because the Bucks did retool that offense. And again, it's clear that, to me, it's clear that they needed a head coaching change after last season.
To pass the torch to having the Bills beating Tom Brady in the Super Bowl. That would be cool. That would be crazy.
Yeah, I'm not going to predict the outcome of that game, but one game I will predict the outcome on, and we're about to right now, the Bills and the Rams, with the Bills being 2.5-point favorites.
I don't know if I like them being 2.5-point favorites in this outcome. I really do think that the Rams are going to come out after putting up the banner off of, winning the Super Bowl. I think they're going to come out guns blazing and want to, run it back, and I think they're going to get the win over the Bills here.
I want to say the same, but my concern, and this is why, because the concern with Jordan Poyer still, is he going to be good to go for week number 1? Because wasn't he the one that was out last year?
The plan is that, yes, he is going to be back for week 1.
So that's my concern. But I also think the Bills will use this as a motivating factor by watching that banner raising, because they're going to say, well, if it wasn't for overtime, if it wasn't for the final 13 seconds in regulation, we would be here right now. So I feel like the Bills are going to come out firing, and I think they're going to win week number 1 on tomorrow night's opening game. So that's
be interesting.
That's our NFL season preview. So we hope you enjoyed it. It went a little longer than I expected. It started out short, and then it just went longer as we went on. So coming up, I was going to say what's coming up on Sunday, but I think you'll just have to wait and see. Tune in Sunday. All these platforms minus Facebook, 9 a.m. Eastern. We're going to predict all all the remaining 15 games of week 1, so you will want to tune in for that. Until Monday night, goodbye everyone.